Hello, this is Javelle from Geniuscarpros, and today we're doing an instructional video on how to bleed your brakes using a vacuum pressure bleeder and why you should bleed your brakes. And today we're using this tool right here, which is a good vacuum bleeder, and you can probably get it from $100 to $200 depending on where you get it and who actually manufactures it. We're going to use this because it allows you one man to do the job efficiently and by yourself, basically. There's other ways you can bleed the brakes. You can use a pressure bleeder. You can use two men and one guy put his foot on the pedal. And another way you can do it too is you can use a scan tool, which actuates the hydraulic unit inside the ABS and pumps. Use the hydraulic ABS pump to pressure out the brake fluid. Today we're using .3 brake fluid. This car calls for .3 brake fluid. I'm going to put that back in the car. You want to flush out your brake fluid because over time the car builds up moisture in the brake fluid, and what that is, it's hydroscopic. Over time the moisture will make the brakes get a little bit spongy, a little bit more mushy. When it gets hot, you can get what they call brake fade. You press on the pedal and it seems like it goes down a little bit. Many manufacturers request that or recommend that you replace the brake fluid like every 2 years, 2 to 3 years, and many people just don't do it at all. I mean, a lot of people, they never flush their brake fluid. A lot of people change their oil all the time. When was the last time you replaced your brake fluid? So today we're going to show you how to do that and why you should do that in a vacuum method way. So we got the brake fluid here. We got the tool here. We're going to use this tool. We got a couple wrenches here, 8mm, 3/8 standard, and that's what we're going to use for the bleeder valves. And we're just going to do it right now. So right now we're hooking up this tool right here to air pressure. Right here. Alright, so now we're in there. And we're going to go over to the car right here. And taking the cap off the master cylinder. And I want you to get in here and just see that color of that brake fluid right now. And you can see how dark that fluid is right now. And watch when I hit this switch and it starts to suck the fluid out. You want to suck the fluid out, and you basically want to try to get as much fluid out of this master cylinder as possible in the reservoir so that we can put brand new fluid in there and then flush all the lines out by opening up the valves and vacuuming from the valves. So make sure you get in there real good. Sometimes you gotta move the line around to get in the little nooks and crannies of that reservoir. So basically right now we got all the fluid out of that reservoir. It's not coming out as fast as it did before. So we're going to shut that valve off, and we're going to take this tool right here, try to suck a little bit of the rest out of the line, hold it up so it doesn't drip all over the place. You don't want to get no brake fluid on the car itself because it'll mess up the paint. The chemicals inside the brake fluid will deteriorate the paint on the car. So that's pretty good right there. So we're going to take this tool right here. We're going to take that out there. We're going to put that there. What we're going to do is just want to get rid of this because we're basically done with this now. And we're going to put on this, which will allow us to flush the fluid out of the lines through the bleeders on the calipers and the wheel cylinders. So now this tool's set up right there. So now that the master cylinder is empty on fluid, we got to fill it back up with brand new fluid. And we can do this a couple ways. We got this little tool right here that goes on, screws onto this bottle and allows it to keep the fluid inside the master cylinder while we flush the system out so it never goes empty. And that's what you want to do because it saves you time from coming out and checking to see how much fluid is in the master cylinder. It'll automatically keep it filled up to a certain point. So we're just going to grab this tool right here and put it right in here. You're probably going to spill a little bit, but that's not bad. Right now, the sound that it's making, and if you can really see that it's shaking, is because it's filling up the master cylinder at the same time. So we're just going to watch that for a second. And if the reason why you want to flush the brake fluid is because if you ever drive a brand new car and you notice how tight those brakes are, and then you go drive a car that's been on the road for like say 5 to 10 years and you drive that, you notice it's probably not stopping at the same force of a brand new car. That brand new car has brand new brake fluid in it. And most people, when they don't change their fluid, you start to lose the quality of your braking system over time. That brake fluid not only does it deteriorate and it starts absorbing moisture, but it starts to break down the brake components of the car. As in, it can wear down the internal seals in the master cylinder. It can wear down the parts inside the brake calipers. It can start to corrode in the inside. This is just detrimental to the car, and many people just don't get it done enough. So now that we know the fluid's in there, it's right at level in here because as the fluid goes down in there, the air comes back up. And as the fluid drops down, when we flush it in there, more fluid will go back in there and it'll keep it at like a level line just below the top of the reservoir. So now we're going to grab our tool again. It's right here, and we're going to start bleeding the wheels one at a time. And this car calls for an 8mm wrench in the back, and we're going to go to the back of the wheel cylinders. And the bleeding procedure on this car, we need to check what the manufacturer specs on this car is: the left rear first, then the right front wheel, then the right rear wheel, then the left front wheel. It's using a crisscross pattern. That's the way that the system always typically wants to get the line that's furthest away from the master cylinder and bleed that first and then go to the next wheel. So you make sure you get all the fluid flushed out properly. So we're going to go to that left rear wheel first. So we're back here. This car has drum brakes, so it has wheel cylinders. And what we're going to do is, it's hard to see, but we're going to put this wrench on the bleeder first. The bleeder's back here. Then after you put the wrench on the bleeder, you're going to put this on the bleeder valve, the nipple of the bleeder valve, which is right in here. We're going to hit this switch right here, which will start the vacuuming process. It's going to make a little noise right now. So now we're just starting to vacuum. Nothing's coming through the lines yet because I didn't open up the bleeder yet. But you'll see when I open up the bleeder. So now the bleeder's open. You can see right here that the fluid's starting to come out. You want to give it enough time so you can start flushing this fluid out. From the way this car looks, this car has been well maintained, and this car gets its brake flushed around like every 2 to 3 years, so the fluid doesn't look as bad as many cars that get flushed. Give it enough time. So we're gonna close that valve. There's a lot of fluid coming out. We're gonna tighten the bleeder back up. And now that the bleeder's tightened, you can either pull off the line or you can turn on the valve. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter because you close that valve up and you make sure that it doesn't suck any air back into the system. So we're there. We're gonna keep this upright and we're gonna go to the front of the car and do the right front wheel. So we're near the right front wheel, and it's a different size bleeder. So now we got a 3/8 wrench right here, American standard. And we're gonna get that wrench on there just like that, ready to go. And then we're gonna put this right here on there. Get it on there real good, slipped on there right there, that's okay. Sometimes you gotta muscle them on there. And we're gonna hit this switch right here, let it start vacuuming the same way we did the rear wheel cylinders. And we're gonna, right there. And there we go. And this brake fluid on this car looks pretty good. It's been flushed every 2-3 years, so it's very well maintained and coming out clean. Just watching it go through. That's not enough on this wheel. I'm going to tighten it back up. Tight. You can shut that valve off. And we're just going to cut the line clean by turning that on. You see all that action? That wheel's done. And at the same time, the next option is to do the right rear wheel and do the front rear wheel. In this video we're showing you just the 2 ones how to do. We will do the other ones eventually. But in the meantime, I'm just going to show you that brake fluid in the top of the master cylinder, which is right there at level. And we're going to take this off real fast. Because this tool was on there, you're going to spill a little bit, you know. You can just clean that off with some brake fluid. It's all the way filled up, and it allows this tool at top allows the reservoir to stay filled up and not go empty. And that's what you do not want. You don't want the reservoir to go empty. That reservoir goes empty, you put air into that system, you'll have more problems. It'll take you way more time to get the air out of there. And that's what you do not want. So if you do not have this tool, or you don't have the space to put this tool in there, you can always just pour fluid in there, and when you flush one wheel, make sure you flush just enough and come out and check to see how much fluid is in there and pour some more back in there. Just make sure you do not let that reservoir go dry. So we're going to leave that just like that, and we're going to take this tool over here and we're going to put that right there, and we only did 2 wheels. We still got 2 more wheels, but right now we're going to show you what we got in the brake fluid and the difference we got right here. Sometimes you gotta really open up these really tightly. They're kind of tight. Yeah, so this is tight getting this off. So let's try to really muscle this out. Yeah, so that was tight getting it off. I guess when it's under vacuum, it gets, that top gets pretty tight on there. So we're going to show you the difference in the brake fluid from the brand new brake fluid to this brake fluid. And keep in mind that this brake fluid is not super bad, but it's been in the car for a couple years and it's already, you can see the little particles in there. It's starting to get pretty dark. And you see that? So we're going to pour these in these glass jars that we got here. And as you see the glass jar right here, there's nothing in there. Not too much in there. We got this glass jar here. So this being said, we're going to pour this fluid in there. Wow, it's pretty dark. And then we're going to pour the brand new fluid in here. It's already coming out super clear. Big change right there. So we got this fluid here. Let's take a look at that. Wow, you can't even see through that. Oh, that's pretty bad. You can see little particles inside. And we got this right there. And this is why you should change the brake fluid on your car. And most cars are worse than this. Seem way worse. What would you rather have? This or this? Well, this is another video. This is Javelle with Genius Car Professionals, and we're out.